Okay. Okay. Good morning to all. So on past class we have discussed about a few points. So anyone kindly come forward in discussing the points that we have discussed yesterday. I think so. I have started discussing with the peoples in alphabetic order. Okay. Ahmad Reshma. Ahmad Reshma. Can you turn on your mic? Pa? Can you give the thing that we have discussed in the past class?
Sir,
Yes, pa.
last class we discussed about what is mean by OO. OO means
Yes.
object orientation. Then we
Okay.
saw about UML diagram. UML diagram means unified modeling language.
Okay.
Then we saw about what is mean by model. The model should be is as a throwaway model. Throwaway means if you want to make a new model, you can make it at any time.
Okay. Okay.
Then we saw about analysis. Analysis means do the right thing.
Yes.
And design. Design means do the things right.
Okay, pa.
Then we saw about OO basics. In OO basics, we take a car as an object, and the car comes under the class vehicle. In car, we
Yes.
saw about attributes and methods. In attributes, we saw color, manufacturer, cost, owner. And in methods, we saw about drive it, lock it, carry passengers in it. Then we saw about attributes. Attributes means data, properties of object. In a car, car is a class name, and its cost, color, they are comes under attributes. Then
Okay.
we saw about methods. Methods means procedures of objects. And then we saw about a class hierarchy. If you have three class, then which class come first? That is in class hierarchy.
Okay.
Then we saw about inheritance. If you have some
Yes.
properties, it will go for other classes.
Okay.
Then we saw about dynamic inheritance. In
Yes.
dynamic inheritance, if we create a car Hyundai equal to new car, then in dynamic inheritance we can create a car Hyundai equal to new vehicle.
Okay, pa.
Then we saw about multiple inheritance. In multiple inheritance, the properties will go for properties of parent class will go for the child classes.
Okay.
Then we saw about encapsulation. In encapsulation, we saw car engine as the example.
Yes.
Then we saw about private class, public class, and protected class. Private class means it does not visible for other classes. Protected class means listed members only can visible.
Okay.
Then we saw about polymorphism. In polymorphism, we saw about the example calculator. Calculator can perform add, subtraction, multiplication, etc. Then we saw about object relationship and association. In that we saw a pilot can fly planes, and then planes flown by pilot.
Okay.
That's all, sir.
Okay. Thank you, pa.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So everyone have recalled the session that we have discussed on the past class. I think so. Okay. Let me start from the continuation of the previous class. Okay. Here you can look at. We have discussed what is meant by object relationship and what is meant by association. One second. Pa. Okay, I'm taking snaps. Everyone, can you turn on your cams? Don't make me to repeat the same. Okay, look at only two faces, Manoj and Sarunan. I need all people to turn on your cams immediately. But don't make me to shout like this in between. Okay, let me start the session now. Okay, here you can look at the example which is given. So we have already gone through the example, pilot and plane. Okay, here you can note down pilot is a class, and same to this, plane is a class. Yeah. So here I have created the object for a pilot and also the object for the plane. Now look at this example. Now next we are going to discuss about aggregation. Okay, anyone kindly give me the general colloquial abbreviation or meaning for aggregation. What is meant by aggregation? Not to the terms of object-oriented analysis and design. What is meant by aggregate?
Connected together or group.
Connecting together. Yes, connecting together. Some other
Group.
Grouping. Okay, here you can look at what the example which is given. Car is a object and it is grouped with what are the classes it combines per? Is the diagram visible? The diagram visible? You can zoom your screen if it is not visible. Here you can look at car is a class and next to it what it is mentioned about? What it is mentioned?
Engine, seat, wheel.
Engine, seat and wheel. Okay, so what I am combining, car is a single object. A car is a single object, but these objects can be aggregated with different classes. So engine is a class, seat is a class, wheel is a class. Okay, if I am mentioning the previous example once again, here you can look at the classification of a car. So here you can look at that car. Car is classified. Car class can be classified into two cars. Race car, family car. Okay, now come to the this example. Now give me the real-time example for. So if I am considering for a race car, okay, then engine will be more than 1000 cc. Seat will be. But listen, kindly interact with me. I'm just interacting with the real-world scenarios. For a race car, how many seats it will be?
2 seats, sir.
Either two or one. Okay, wheels, obviously every car will have four wheels. Okay, so this particular scenario, that is seat, will determine whether it's a race car or a commercial vehicle. Okay, even though if you are having any high-end cars, it has only two seats, but it won't be considered as a race cars. Okay, here you can look at the abbreviation for aggregation. Aggregation is a composition of many containing other objects. Okay, here you can look at the diagram. So here you can look at this. This is a class. This is only a class. It does not have any attribute and method. Here it is classified into three. So here first one is the class name, second thing is attribute, and third thing is a method. And if you are not mentioning anything, you can simply mention the class name alone. Okay, Appa? Everyone, can you draw this diagram? Well, look, this particular paper is entirely a diagrammatical paper. You'll be learning more than 150 diagrams. You'll be learning more than 150 diagrams. So kindly draw the diagram so that you can able to recall it for your examination. So kindly draw this diagram. Like I said, you'll be having the content with your hands, but even though have some content for your recall sessions. So, okay, here you can look at. You can note down this particular alone for representation of a class. So a class name is engine. For any engine, it will be having the attributes and it will be having the methods. Okay, since I am showing you in an online, you can take some snaps. Okay, let me move on to the next thing. Okay, so next thing is about static and dynamic binding. So this is one more feature with OOPS. Okay, what is meant by static binding and what is meant by dynamic binding? Anyone? What is meant by static binding? What is meant by dynamic binding? Anyone? Okay, let me call some names. Annapurni. 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 Can you turn on your mics, pa? The time is running out. Can you turn on your mics? Look, if any people who I have called was not answering, simply I put absent. If you are there, at least turn on your mics. Simply said, I don't know. Let me give the turn to some other people. Annapurni, what is meant by static binding? What is meant by dynamic binding? Pa? Any few things? Okay, I think so. I have to put an action for Annapurni. Okay, let me call upon Deepa. Deepa, yes.
Sir,
Yes, pa. Have you come across this word? Static binding, dynamic binding?
yes, sir.
Okay, can you give the examples, pa? What is meant by
Sir,
static binding?
in static binding, the object determinants are at compile time, sir.
Okay,
In dynamic binding, the objects are determined at runtime, sir.
okay, pa. Thank you. So to reduce memory, and the process of calling, we often use dynamic binding. And you know when the memory allocation for the object will be allocated, pa? When the memory will be allocated for individual objects. The question is open. Anyone can answer. When the memory allocation will be allocated for individual objects. Only at the time of object creation. Only at the time of object creation. For example, if you are mentioning like vehicle, car is equal to new vehicle, in that time only the memory allocation will be allocated. Okay. Okay. You have given the explanation for what is meant by static and dynamic binding. So next thing is about object persistent. Okay. What's the meaning of persistent first? Persistent. Persistent. I'm just relating with the colloquial meaning. Persistent.
Lifetime, sir. How long it will stay?
Lifetime. Okay. How long it resides? Okay. Let me ask you a question. Everyone have used ATM. Everyone have used the ATM machine. Okay. If you are moving over at the night time and you are working with an ATM, whether the ATM is working midnight, 1 or 2 or 3 p.m. Anyone have tried?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it working at the night time?
Yes, sir.
So how we can mention it is 24/7 persistent. It's 24/7 persistent. So this is a best example for object persistent. So if you have created an object and if you are accessing that object at any time, and it does the meaning of object persistent. Okay, getting some point what I'm mentioning. Okay. Okay, these things that are the recalls of OOPS. Now we are just entering with what is meant by object-oriented analysis and design. Okay, we have already discussed what is meant by analysis and what is meant by design. Anyone? What is meant by analysis? What is meant by analysis? Doing the
Right things, sir.
right thing. Okay, what is meant by design?
Do the things right.
Doing the things right. Okay, now come upon with the definition of object-oriented analysis. Okay, let me give on the definition. Second. Whether the screen is visible?
Yes, sir. Visible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 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 pa. So here you can look at it's just a finding and the description of the object, the concepts of a problem domain. Okay, listen, pa. Let me give you an example. Like I said, on the first day, I just given you an example of a departmental store. You can remember the concept what I have mentioned. So often a particular customer will give you a bunch of paragraphs, like giving the like this. I need a software. That software should include these things. So they will be giving a simple paragraph. That paragraph has to be interrupted. That paragraph has to be interrupted. And if you find any difficulty, you can call upon him and ask the doubts. Okay. So this thing is called as problem domain. A paragraph which is given, you can note down the concepts for problem domain. Problem domain is a paragraph which is given by the customer. A simple passage which is given by the customer. That passage has to be interrupted. Yeah. So what you do, you analyze the passage. You analyze the passage. You analyze the paragraph. What he is given. What we need to do. Okay. That's the thing which is given as object-oriented analysis. Now give up with the example. Read the examples. For example, what I just mentioned in case of flight. Plane flight pilot. Okay. Now I am a customer. I need a software for flight information system. Okay. What I am mentioning is like this. I need a software for a flight information system. In that flight information system, it should include a plane information, flight information, pilot information, and based upon that, I have to allocate when a particular flight will land, when it will departure. This is an entire paragraph. Are you getting the point? This is the entire passage that I will be giving to the developer. Okay, what you will identify? What you will identify? You identify the main classes: a plane, a flight, a pilot. These three things are the main classes. Okay, Appa? Are you getting the points? Anyone can answer me?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
So this is the entire concept of object-oriented analysis. Okay, now coming into object-oriented design. Okay, you have got the name of a class, a plane, a flight, and also the pilot. So these are the classes. Now coming into the design. Okay, here you can look at. It deals with the software objects and it collaborates with the fulfillment of the requirement. What the entire customer required. So what I require, I need a software system. That software system should maintain every databases. So when a particular flight will arrive, when it will be getting departure, who owns or who drives that particular plane, okay, everything I have to be getting stored. Okay, here you can look at the example. Here you can look at the example. What the example which is given? Are you written that information bar? A plane software may have a tail number as an attribute and also got the flight history methods. Okay. You can okay, let me give you one example. Okay, have you traveled in Ola or any taxis? You can track that particular information using your mobile, isn't it? How it is happening? With a number, with the car number, like that. Every plane will have a tail number. Every plane have a tail number. You can also track any planes which is flying now in air. Anyone have attended ethical hacking? But anyone have attended ethical hacking? In that he has given you a website. You can track anytime any aircraft which is flying above our head. Okay, so that information is called as the tail number. So tail number you can have as an attribute, and also the flight history. Flight history, what the flight history will have when the aircraft has departed, where it is now, when it will be getting arrived. Everything you can able to get it. Okay. Now look at the diagram. Now look at the diagram. So this is the entire an aircraft. So you can convert this into a class first. Okay. How they have converted. So this is the abstract information which is given by the customer. Okay. You will be getting that information into your domain model. So this is called as domain model. Like I said here, problem domain model. So I am just converting into a form of a class. What it has per? What's the class name? What's the class name? Anyone kindly answer? What's the class name? And what's the attribute it has? What the attribute it has?
Plain class name, sir.
Okay, plain is a class name. Pa. What's the attribute it has?
Tail number.
Tail number.
Whether I have zoomed it, you can now look at. Now it is visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, plain and the tail number. Okay, so how we are converting this into a diagram now? So initially the customer is mentioning that I have to create an application for aircraft, and then you are just converting into a class. Now you are converting into a code. So this is called as analysis. This segment is called as analysis, and this segment is called as design. Okay, Abba? Getting some point with object-oriented analysis and design. So here, how we have converted this diagram into a class. So public, class, plain. Okay, why you have used public here? Mohana Priya, can you turn off your mic? Okay, thank you. Why you have used public here? This class has to be accessed by some other classes. So you're mentioning as public, and obviously every class will have the phrase as class. And next thing is the attribute. So attribute is private, string, tail number, and this is the method. So every class will have both the attribute and the method. Okay. Okay. Now let me start with an example. One more example. Okay. Let me ask some a basic poll question. Okay. Let me ask you some question. I have mentioned some poll at your screen. I have not asked any question. Pa. Anyone have mentioned yes or no, A and B? I have not asked any question. Stop polling it. What the question I am asking is, are you playing, are you have aware of games, online games or mobile games? Anyone have played online games? If you are mentioning as I have played, mark as A. I have not played any games, you can mark B. I have played a game. I haven't played a game, mark B. I have not played a game, mark B. I have played a game A. Why? Because we are just going to create a game. We are just going to create a game software. Look, I can able to note down the responses who are giving me, and also I will be considering this as an for a part of our assignment. I need a reply from every people. I found more than 46 people are available. Why sort of things you are just not turning on your cams? Everyone can turn on your cams, pa. Around 45 people were there. Only 32 have answered my poll. Every other kindly reply my poll. What the question I have asked is, have you played any games? If you have played any games, you can post A. Haven't, B. Okay, let me conclude the poll now. Okay, you can look at the thing. Around 25 people have mentioned as yes, and 8 as no. Okay, okay, pa. What the game that we are going to create is a dice game. Here you can look at a dice game. Often you have played what the game? Ludo. I think so. Everyone have played Ludo, or I have played any snake and ladders by using dice game. What the thing I'm going to give is you have to use two players. You have to play with the two players, and here you can look at. If you are getting the total is 7, you win or you lose. Okay, okay. Let everyone imaginize and give me how the appearance of a software should be. Anyone? I'll be showing the picture of the entire software. Now let you imaginize and give me the thing. Okay, let I give you the example now. Okay, every online games or any kind of game will initially have two windows, like start game, enter the player name, exit. So often you will be start playing solo or you play with the peoples, isn't it? So if you are playing with the solo, then you enter into the game, you mention your name, and you start playing the game. The initial condition is what? The initial condition, pa? What should be the initial condition? Anyone? You have to throw the dice. You have to add up the sum, and that sum has to be exactly 7. If you are exactly 7, you are the winner, or the turn goes to the opponent. He start playing the game. Okay, in how many turns a player wins? This is the exact thing for the game rule. Okay, okay. Now let me start designing for this particular game now. Okay, here you can note down what's the first phase. Defining the use case is the first phase, and secondly, you are not turning on your cams and not giving me the reply using your microphones. Then what? Or what sort of things I have to take the class to you? Everyone, can you turn on your cams and give me the reply instantly? What it is mentioning, I just showing the screen. What it is mentioning, defining the use case was the first one. Secondly,
Define domain model.
defining the domain model. Okay. Third thing, defining the interaction diagram. And fourth thing, defining the design class diagram. Okay. So these 4 things are the main one that every software project will have. Yeah, let me start with the first one, defining the use case. Okay, while you're doing your laboratory practicals, what do you do it? Anyone listening? While doing your laboratory classes or laboratory experiments, what sort of things you do? You start creating the aim. You start creating the.
Try to execute the problems that they give.
Okay, that the thing is for use cases. What I'm saying is, what sort of things or what headings you do for practicals. You start mentioning the title. You start mentioning the aim. You start giving the algorithm. You start mentioning the program procedures. Okay. And next thing you start giving the codings. And before your result, you mention the output and finally giving the result. Okay. What is meant by algorithm? What is meant by algorithm? Anyone? What's the meaning of algorithm?
Step procedure.
Yes, step by step procedure. Okay.
Procedure.
Okay. What the thing I have mentioned in the first phase, defining the use case. Defining the use case is the exact pattern of giving the algorithm. Okay. What the problem we have taken? Creating the dice game is a problem. Creating the dice game is a problem. Now, list me the algorithm. Anyone? Now list me the algorithm. I have given you the entire thing. Now, anyone kindly give me the list me the algorithm. Yes, list me the algorithm, pa. Let me show
First
you the
player
screen.
one,
Start the game. Starting the game. Okay.
player one starts to roll the dice, sir.
Select the player. Okay. Start the game. Select the player. Player one or player two. That is a single player or a multiple players. Third thing, enter the name. Fourth one, starting the game. So rolling the dice. Fifth one, getting the output. If the output is 7, who played is a winner, or the turn goes to the opponent. Finally, ending the game. Okay, these things are the use cases, isn't it, Pa? You don't give me the reply. Okay, so these things are called as defining the use cases. Okay, now read on the concept which is given. So requirement analysis may include the stories or the scenarios. So simply the stories. Simply the stories are the scenarios that you do for a project. Okay, here it is mentioned very clear. Playing the dice. So player represents to roll the dice. The system presents the result. If the dice face value is 7, the player wins. Otherwise, the player loses. Okay, what's the meaning of a face value, Pa? Face value. Once you roll the die, it shows some value in it. That's called as face value. Okay. Okay. Now let me move on to the next thing. What's the next thing? Defining the domain model. Now you are going to convert these algorithms or your use cases into a diagram. Okay. Now everyone listen. Now everyone listen. I have given you the algorithm. I have given you the algorithm like starting the game, entering the player's name. Okay. Start rolling the dice, getting the result, ending the game. Okay. Now, like I have mentioned in the previous class, you have to list down what are the nouns, what are the verbs. Okay, anyone? What are the nouns here? What are the nouns here? Okay, let me ask some names. Okay, Hari Vignesh. Hari Vignesh. Hari Vignesh. Janani Priya. Janani Priya. Look, I am just marking the people who are not answering me as absent. Janani Priya.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Pa. What does mean by noun, Pa? Initially, you have learned these things in grammar. What is mean by noun? What is mean by noun?
Used to identify people or things
A people,
or
a
place.
place, or anything. Okay. Hari Vignesh Kumar, can you turn on your mic, Pa? Thank you, Pa. Jani Priya, thank you. Hari Vignesh Kumar, did you listen with Jani Priya, Pa?
Yes, sir.
What she is given for a definition for noun?
That's places or name or anything.
Okay. I have given you the algorithms, isn't it? What are the names you find it? What are the names you find it?
I can't see the
I think
algorithm.
so. You are not listening with this. What are the names I mentioned in the algorithm or the use cases? You can look at the diagram also. Okay, Pa, thank you. Any other people? Any other people? Any other people? Yes.
Player
Ahmad
dice
Reshma.
face value.
Okay, once again, Pa.
Player,
Ahmad Reshma has. Yes.
player,
Player.
dice
Yes.
game,
Player. Dice. Dice game.
dice
Okay.
game.
Okay. These things are called as noun phrases. Okay. So everyone listen. While creating a diagram, you have to create like this. Okay, and this is called as domain model diagram. Note down. This is called as domain model diagram. So domain model diagram will have only two segments. You have to draw a box. You have to split it into two. First thing is called as domain name. Second thing is called as domain attribute. You simply draw a diagram in your notebook. Simply draw a square. Simply draw a square. That square has to be divided into two. Yeah. Top of the thing is called as domain name, and bottom of the thing is called as domain attribute. So here you can note down player is the domain name and name is the attribute. Yeah. Similarly, dice is the domain name, face value is the attribute. Okay. Dice game is the domain name, and here it does not has an attribute. Okay. So why here it is mentioned as a partial domain model? Anyone? Why it is mentioned as a partial domain model? Because I have not mentioned the attributes here. If I have mentioned an attribute here, it's a complete domain model. Okay. Note down every concept. So what I am mentioning. Why I have mentioned as partial domain model, I have left any attributes here. If I have left any attributes here, then it has to be a partial domain model. Okay. Okay. Now, what the thing you have to do? You have to initially draw a diagram. Okay. You initially draw the boxes. So first box you have drawn, second box you have drawn, third box you have drawn. Okay. Now, what I have to mention is the relationship. Okay. For mentioning the relationship, what's a word we use for relationship is association. The word we use for association, the meaning of relationship. Okay. How I have to connected the relationship? I have initially drawn the three boxes. Okay. Next, I have connected with the line. I have connected with the line. Okay. I have connected with the line with the player to the dice, because dice own starts. A player has to initiate. That's the relationship. Okay. So every dice will be inside the dice game, and also a player has to start the dice game. Now just imagine, I have an icon in my desktop. I have an icon in my desktop, dice game. What I do, I simply go and double click it. Yeah, I have to go to it and double click it, and after it starts a window, and it asks for the player. We enter the name, and after that we starts the game. We rolls the die, we gets the output, and finally we get that whether you are a player, that is you are a winner or a loser. So initially I have connected with the line. Okay, and I have marked the meaning here. What the meaning I have mentioned here? Can look at the diagram. I'm just simply zooming it. What a player do? Okay, 1 second, everyone wait. I have asked what is my noun. Okay, now I am asking what is my verb. What is my verb? What is my verb?
That methods or functions.
Method or a function. But in colloquial, what is my verb?
Action.
Verb is a action word. Verb is a action word. So you have to filter the action word from your use case. Okay. So how I have mentioned, the player rolls the die. The player rolls the die. Player is a noun. Rolls is a verb. Dice is a noun again. Okay. Here I have mentioned the verb here. So every line has to be mentioned with a verb. Every domain has to be mentioned with a noun. Okay, but are you getting the points? And just simplifying your concepts. Okay. So here, what I have mentioned, a player. Okay, now make the sentence bar. Now make the sentence with this diagram. Player rolls die. Now make the sentence. Anyone? Come first. Time is running out. It has crossed around 12:25 now. Okay, let me mark your attendance once again. Okay, pa. Anyone kindly frame a sentence. Be fast. Frame a sentence with this particular passage, pa. Okay, let me give you an example. Let me give you an example. Yeah, player. Note, kindly look at the diagram. For everyone, look at the diagram. Yeah, player rolls the dice. Okay. Now, I have mentioned yeah, player. So object is 1. Object is 1. Why I am mentioning the number? You get the thing. These numbers are called as the objects. How many objects are used for a class? Okay, Appa? So here, yeah, player rolls the dice. The yeah 1, dice is 2. Okay, Appa, are you getting the points? Are you getting the points? Now come back with these relation. Anyone? Now come back with these relation.
A
Anyone
player,
make a sentence and give the relation?
a player plays a dice game.
Yeah, player plays a dice game. Okay, a dice game is a single software. If you are double clicking the software, then it creates 2 objects. Am I clarifying your doubts? Often, what you do, if you are clicking a single application once, then there is no issue. If you are double clicking an application, it creates with the 2 instances. So in that time, a player have created two applications. 1 second, I just getting a call. I just answer for the call. 1 second. Okay, like the people said, yeah, player plays a dice game. Okay, now connect the relationship with the dice game and dice. Anyone? Now connect the relationship between dice game and dice. Anyone from girl side? Anyone from girl side? It's for Dharani.
A dice can include face value.
What about? Yes, you have given me some reply. Yes.
A dice
Yeah,
can
dice game.
include
2
face
dice. Oh,
value.
yes. No. It's not connecting with the face value, pa. Not connecting with the face value. It's just connecting with the domain model.
Okay.
What I'm mentioning is clear. Player is a domain model. Yeah, no. Everyone listen. Player is a domain. Dice is a domain. Dice game is a domain. This entire diagram is called as domain model. Okay, pa? Player is a domain. Okay, now relate like this. Yeah, dice game includes 2 dices. There's a meaning for this. Okay, so why I have created this diagram, pa? Why I have created this diagram? Like I said earlier, every customer don't have the knowledge of a programming softwares. So we have to draw that this is the exact thing that you are going to create, that they are going to create. Okay, pa? Get the point? Okay. Okay, let me move more further. I have mentioned this domain of a new name called as conceptual object model. You can note it down. While you are asking for your objectives, or if you are asked any 2-mark question, explain conceptual object model, you have to explain the domain model with this example. Okay, like I said, we have completed 2 things. We have completed defining the use case. We have completed creating the domain model. And second thing, what you're going to create, we have to create the instruction diagram. Okay. Okay. Okay, let me ask you the question. If I have started the game, so can you mute Hari Viknesh? Can you mute your audio? Yes, thank you. Okay. Okay, what I have to mention is I have started the game. Yeah, I have started the game. Most game will have time scenario, isn't it? Most game will have a time scenario. சொல்ற புரியுதா உங்களுக்கு? கேம் எடுத்துட்டீங்கனாவே என்ன இருக்கும் அதுல? It will be having some time scenarios. If I am not rolling the die, often a few minutes, what will take in? The system automatically rolls the die, isn't it? Am I answering the question right?
Yes,
For
sir.
creating any software, it will be time bounded. If I am not rolling the dice for more than 2 or 3 seconds, automatically the system rolls the dice. Okay. So what here I am going to create is, I am just going to create an interaction diagram, that the interaction happens between a normal user and with the software. Okay. Now look at the diagram. Okay, here you can look at the diagram. So here we have how many objects? Dice game, dice, and also the dice. Here I have not mentioned the player because a player only initiates the dice game. Player only initiates the dice game, and he is going to interact with that dice game. Okay, pa? Okay, now note on this diagram, pa. Everyone note on this diagram. Start drawing this diagram, and I'll be giving the explanation for each individual parts in this diagram. Kindly draw this diagram, pa. It's a very simple diagram. Can you draw this diagram? Let me zoom the screen so that everyone can be able to visible. I think so I have zoomed the screen. Everyone draw this diagram. Here, meanwhile, listen with this diagram while drawing this. How to draw this diagram is, you have to draw this box first. You have to draw this box first, and next you have to draw this dotted lines first. Okay, and then you have to write it last, like colon dice game, colon dice game. Next, draw this next box, extend this line, and then D1 colon dice, D1 colon dice. Next, draw like drawing this box, D2 colon dice, and extend with this dotted line. Okay, now note down the meaning of these diagrams. So this is called as object box. This is called as object box. Object box. And this is called as lifeline. These arrows are called as the lifeline. Object box, object box, lifeline. Okay. Okay, now I am giving you the meaning. Why I am mentioning this thing as object box is, here you can note on this particular example. I have mentioned as D1 colon dice. You literally know some rules for creating class. You literally know the rules for creating a class. Every class name will start with a capital letter. Every class name will start with a capital letter. Here you can look at dice game, D is caps. Dice, D is caps. Again, dice, D is caps. So every class will start with a capital letter. Okay, and every method, here you can look at the method. Here you can look at the method. Once again, everyone look at the method here. Get face value. Get face value is a method, but every method will start with a small letter initially, and it will be connected with the capital letter of every word. Here, get face value is 3 words, but you should not give any space. You should be combined. So get without space, face without a face value. So every method will start with a smaller letter, and every class will start with a capital letter. Yeah. And what is mean by this D1 pa? D1. Anyone? D1 is? Yes, D1 is
Object, sir.
the object. Okay. So dice is a class name, D1 is the object. Again, dice is the class name, D2 is the object. Okay. Okay. Now you have known what the thing I have mentioned here. Okay. So initially you have to note down two important things: the arrow marks. So here you can note down initially who starts the game. Who initially starts the game? The player starts the game. Okay, this dot represents a player. What method he starts? He moves his mouse, goes to the icon, he makes the double click. Okay, it initiates a method called as play. Okay, Appa? Are you getting the point? And after that, this dice game gets started, and he have to mention the dice. Okay, so he is rolling one die, he's getting a face value. He is rolling the second die, he is getting the face value. Okay, Appa? Are you getting the point? Are you getting the point? First, what he is mentioning, first he is using a method called as roll. He's using a method called as roll. He rolls the first die. He gets a face value. It will be stored in which variable, Appa? It is stored in which variable? Answer me. FV1. FV1 will have a integer variable. Why it is having integer variable, Appa? Okay, am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry for the lost my battery in my lap. Putting charge. Okay. Okay. What the last thing we have discussing? We have discussed the general rules for mentioning the class. Every class will have a capital letter, and every method will have a small letter starting. Okay. And next I have mentioned as a player is starting the method, a play, and next the dice game starts a method, roll,
Get
and
face
it
value.
gets a value. It stores in FP1. Okay. And I have mentioned why it is getting stored with the integer value. I have asked with the last question. Why it is storing an integer value per?
Values are in numbers, sir.
Yes, the values are in numbers, and also it will be in a integer values like 1 to 6. Okay, only dice have how many faces? Dice have only 6 faces, obviously. Okay. Okay. Next, what it is mentioned? FP1 is rolling in the first die and getting the face value, and obviously second thing, rolling the second die and getting the face value. So this is the diagram of instruction thing. Okay, pa. So we have completed the third thing. Okay. Next, what we have to create? We have to create a class diagram. 1 second. Let me zoom out. Okay. Next thing, what we have to create the design class diagram. Okay. This is the model of a design class diagram. Let me zoom it out. Everyone, look at this diagram. This diagram is very similar with your domain model. Okay. Let you compare this diagram with the domain model. Pa. Domain model. What it additionally have?
Methods.
What it
Methods.
additionally have?
Methods.
Yes. Methods. One, if you have only dice game and the attribute alone, it's a domain model. If you have a domain model, that is a domain name, attribute, and also the method, then it's called as class diagram. Okay, Appa? What I'm saying is clear. If you have dice game and dice alone, it's called as domain model. If you have domain name, okay, attribute and method, then it's called as class diagram. Okay, here, and also one more difference between this diagram and that one, it will be having the arrows. It will be having the arrows. Okay, now anyone give the example, give the relationship, why I have mentioned here 1 and why I have mentioned 2. Anyone give a sentence? Okay, but now give me the meaning. A single dice game will be played with 2 dices. Okay, okay, pa. Now I am combining both the domain model and also the interaction diagram here. You can look at these things I have mentioned in the domain model, and now I have added the interaction diagram also here. Okay, pa. So a single class. Okay, now give me the example for this particular class alone. Convert this into a Java code, pa. Convert this into a Java code. Anyone? Convert this diagram into Java code. How it will be? Public class. Yes,
Dice
public
game.
public
Dice
class dice game. Next,
and its attributes.
yes, attributes will be
Die
public dice 1. Okay, public dice 1. It just given us a mistake, but it's not die. It's dice, DICE. Okay, die will be different meaning. Die, death, that is the different meaning. It's just mistake. Dice, D-I-C-E. Okay. And method? Method?
Play.
Void play.
Public. Play.
Void play. Okay. Now give same thing for dice. Anyone? For dice? Anyone? Similarly, convert this particular diagram into your class diagram or code for Java. Yes, Tarani.
Class
Any other
die.
people? Yes. Class die. Yes, integer face value. Okay. Integer face value and method is integer get face value. And also there is one more method, void role. Okay, okay. Let me conclude it here. I need two more people for abstracting the entire class and the feedback for the entire session. Any two people? Okay, let me save your attendance. Second. Okay, I need two people. Already Saravanan and one more people have given on the past class. Now it turns to Pandishwari. Pandishwari, can you turn on your mic? Pandishwari. Pandishwari. And Renuha B. Renuha B, to kindly give feedback. Renuha B, kindly give feedback. Pandishwari, give the abstract for entire class. Everyone listen. Kindly have your notes. Listen with the topics that we have discussed today. Yes, Pandishwari.
Yes, sir.
Yes, kindly abstract the class.
We have discussed about what is application
Okay.
and static and dynamic binding.
Okay.
And then object precedence. And what is object oriented analysis and design.
Yes.
And this example, place the two dices. Define use case and define domain model, define interaction diagrams, define design and class diagrams.
That's it.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Okay. Okay. Okay, now it's turn for the next people to give the feedback. Renuha. Renuha. Kindly give the feedback, we are just running out of time. Renuha was not there. I found you. I asked you to do the feedback. Then you are leaving out of the class. Then how I can able to put you with the attendance? Okay, Siva Balan. Siva Balan. Siva Balan. Balan, kindly unmute your mic and give the feedback for this particular session. What the thing you faced today, or what the issues, or whether it is good, or we can able to continue like this. Anything? Okay, but any other people? It's running out of time. Any other people? Any other people? Kindly give the feedback and conclude the session. Monisha, Monica T, Monica T. Monica T, kindly unmute it and give the feedback, pa. Monica. I've asked two people, and who are the people I'm asking are not replying me. Okay, let me make them as an absent. What are things then I can do? Vijay Manihandan. Vijay Manihandan. Vijay Manihandan. Okay, pa. Saravanan.
Sir?
Whether do you face any issues for today? Can I give you the feedback and conclude the session, pa?
No, sir. We haven't faced any issues today, sir.
Instead of that power cutoff, that one thing. Instead of that, you doesn't face any issues, isn't it?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay, pa. Let me end the session now. Thank you. Thank you, pa.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.